Check 1 2 check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 check.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the AmericanSpyFox. Welcome to the channel, or perhaps maybe you found us directly on Spotify or Instagram. Either way it goes, all the links are in the description. You can follow us on every platform. We will have branching narratives on Spotify and Patreon, starting out with a series on the Chelsea Hotel. If you're not aware of the Chelsea Hotel, oh my God, lots of intrigue, lots of mystery, dozens of cases. We're going to talk about the biggest ones. We're going to start out with Sid and Nancy on Spotify and Patreon. I will put the links below if you'd like to follow us there as well. Or you can even join our Facebook group, the United States of Kurt Cobain. Feel free to join us. All the links are below. Quick reminder, every chapter from Come As You Are, The Story of Nirvana, Alice in Chains, The Untold Story, any books that we decide to read in the future will be placed on Spotify. If you would rather listen there, because they have that neat option where you can turn your phone off and still listen. Really surprised YouTube has never added that feature to their platform. If you'd rather listen there, links will be below. We will also be starting a brand new true crime podcast, starting out with a series on the mysterious Chelsea Hotel. Starting out with Sid and Nancy on Spotify and Patreon. This other platform is giving me a chance to branch out and do other things. YouTube will remain 80s, 90s musicians-based content, sometimes controversial content. You guys know the deal. This town was so hungry for this idea. Scott Hunt. Scott Hunt was attending Idaho State University on a football scholarship. NCAA regulations forbid student athletes from holding a tax-paying job, so to get around this, Hunt traveled and performed with his band, Mears, in which he was the drummer. We would travel through the summer and I'd make a buttload of unreported cash as a musician, which saved my father a great deal of money, Hunt said. Around 1983, Mears played a show in Twin Falls, Idaho, and stopped by a diner after the gig. The diner had a copy of The Rocket. That was Seattle's big music magazine. At that point, the only one. And to me, it was like Rolling Stone. I've heard countless musicians talk about The Rocket. Everyone from Duff McKagan and Slash to Chris Novoselic to Kim Thayil. A lot of these bands that we grew up listening to, they all found each other in The Rocket. Metallica found each other in The Rocket. He tore out the Musicians Wanted section and later placed an ad for himself. Hunt got a call from Paul Bostick, manager of a local band called Brat. Despite being in Idaho, Hunt convinced Bostick to mail him the band's demo so he could try out. Hunt was offered the job and then asked himself the obvious question, now what? If he accepted the job, he would have to quit his band, drop out of college, and move to Seattle. He spent the summer in the Seattle area rehearsing with Brat at a warehouse, which had live electrical wires hanging from the ceiling, was infested with rats, and had no heating. Hunt had a 10-piece kit with 9 cymbals. My God! 10-piece kit? What is he playing, like thrash metal? Every day he had to unload it from his truck, carry it up 2 flights of stairs, assemble it, play, and then break it down, carry it back downstairs, and load it on the truck. In that state of frustration, Hunt thought to himself, this is horse shit. This is a major city. Why are we putting up with this? Think about Dave Grohl became the biggest band in the world with a 3-piece. He just had a snare, a humongous rack tom, a humongous floor tom, and a bass. Like that was it. Very basic. Hunt accepted the Brat offer, got a job in construction, and began looking for warehouse space. He and his boss, a drywaller named Jake Bostick, the brother of Brat's manager, were working for 2 Swedish land developers named Bengt von Hertman and Gabriel Marion. Sorry about the pronunciation. Hunt found a 40,000 square foot warehouse in Ballard and had an idea that he wanted to pitch to von Hartman and Marion. He saved up money to place an ad announcing Round the Sound Studios, which described 24-hour practice rooms, and listed his phone number to book rooms, which ran in the September 1984 edition of The Rocket. I see where this is going. I know exactly what this is about. Okay. After the ad was published, Hunt would come home and find 15 to 20 messages on his answering machine every night to the point that the tape was full. This town was so hungry for this idea, Hunt said. He wrote down the names of everyone willing to commit $300 to $500, calculated the numbers, and drafted a business proposal. He estimated that renting the warehouse at 21 cents per square foot from a private landowner and then re-renting it at $1.60 per square foot would bring in $12,000 a month in revenues. Hunt offered to split the profits with von Hartman and Marion 50-50, but needed them to sign the property lease and to provide a small team of employees to build and maintain the place. Von Hartman and Marion did their due diligence and ultimately agreed to it. Hunt had to put in his own money to get the project going. His father passed away in January 1984, leaving his mother a sum of money from his insurance policy. She decided each of their children would receive $20,000 as a down payment for a home or to finish college. Hunt pitched his idea to his mom, and she lent him the money, which he immediately used to buy the doors, walls, studs, wires, and carpeting. Hunt also made Jake Bostick, von Hartman, and Marion sign a promissory note agreeing to pay his mother $750 a month to repay the loan. Smart guy. He made something out of nothing. He didn't own any of it. He totally saw an opportunity and turned it into a business venture, which would benefit countless musicians in Seattle as well. We'll get to that. What a smart guy. On September 25th, 1984, von Hartman, Marion, and Marion's wife signed a 5-year lease for the property, which would begin on October 1st. Under the terms of the lease, they would pay the Rosen Investment Company $2,700 a month in rent. Wow, so they're making nearly $10,000 a month in revenue after paying for the lease. The premises were to be used and occupied only for recording and audio-visual studios. The name had to be changed from Round the Sound Studios to the Music Bank. About a year and a half later, after Hunt, Marion, and von Hartman decided to get rid of Bostick. Because of that and the fact that they had to rewrite the promissory note, they had to change the name of the partnership as well. Hunt suggested the name Music Bank. Hunt and Jake Bostick, along with a framing crew, an electrician, and a laborer, worked to get Round the Sound Studios up and running, aiming to build a room a day. They came very close to that goal. By Hunt's calculations, they built 52 rooms in 60 days. On opening day, every single room was rented out, and Hunt had a waiting list of 25 bands wanting to get in. Besides himself, Hunt credits Bostick as a co-founder of the Music Bank. This was me and Jake's baby completely. The other guys were just silent partners that were willing to put their name on a piece of property. One day in late 1985, an 18-year-old who had long spiky hair with a blue streak and was wearing pink jeans walked into Hunt's office. "I'm Layne from Sleaze, and I'm looking for a job." "Well, Layne, I'm not hiring," Hunt responded. Layne continued, "I was in here the other night, and I noticed you had this guy that was mopping the back hallway between rooms 36 and 42. Can you rent that?" "That's our broom closet." "I don't care," Layne responded. "Could I set up a little drum set in there?" Hunt thought about Layne's proposition. The small room was not designed for the purpose Layne had in mind. Hunt described it as barely big enough to hold a small drum set. He had been looking for more space and figured that if he relocated the cleaning supplies to the back office and rented out the closet, it would bring an extra $150 a month in revenue. Johnny Bacalus said of this first room, "It could barely fit 4 of us. It was me, Nick, James, and Layne. That room was just too small. It would just kill us in the summer." On their first day in the room, they had left their door slightly open. A member of the punk band, The Accused, stuck his hand inside the doorway and gave them the middle finger. Layne got mad and decided that couldn't go unanswered. He found a piece of dog poop and placed it in front of the door to the Accused room while they were practicing. They later found out one of the band members stepped on it. Sleaze practiced in the closet until a better room opened up. Hunt put Layne at the top of the waiting list, so they upgraded as soon as one became available. Layne continued pestering Hunt for a job, but he wouldn't actually work there until about a year later. Wow, so cheap rent, right? A place to rehearse. If you absolutely have no place to crash, you could probably get away with crashing there. After repaying slightly more than half of Hunt's $20,000 loan from his mother, von Hartman and Marion stopped paying it. According to Hunt, the reasons for this were that it was starting not to be profitable. Our rent had gone up. We had been classified as a commercial zone. We were pulling a lot of power. Our power rates went up. A lot of money stuff changed, and they decided, "This is a promissory note, punk. Why don't you start paying your mom back out of your own money?" Yeah, I mean, apparently they did not calculate the fact that if we rent out 50 rooms to 50 bands, there's going to be a very, very large electric bill. At that point, Hunt approached David Bollinger to take over the day-to-day operations of the music bank. I said, I'm at war with my partners now because they don't want to pay my family money back anymore. So I need you to kind of help me run things. This may turn into an ugly deal here. Bollinger had secretly been living in a room paying rent with his unemployment benefits. Hunt was fine with him doing that and began giving him hours. Bollinger eventually moved into Hunt's band's former room and began running keys. By that point, things had gotten ugly between the Hunt family and Von Hartman and Marion, with the Hunts filing a lawsuit over the unpaid balance of the loan. In a day, they came and threw Scott out. Scott thought he would be back in 2 weeks. It was near violence, the experience. They put him up against the wall, up off his feet, Bollinger said. He thought he'd be back in a few. He was like, dude, I'll be back, and we'll own it completely in 2 weeks. It didn't happen. The lawsuit just went on continuously, and so somebody had to run the place. Beyond the loan issue, Hunt said there were other reasons they wanted him out. Hunt wanted to expand the music bank into the rest of the Ballard building, which was being rented out to 2 other businesses. Hunt alleged his business partners wanted him out so they could set up a massive marijuana growing operation. Oh boy, I talked about this. If you've never watched my Alice in Chains biography series, there is a playlist on my channel. I go into detail about the marijuana bust. That is to say, AmericanSpyFox on YouTube, in case anyone in the future finds us on Spotify, but has not found us on YouTube. Ultimately, the Music Bank was an incubator for the Seattle music scene, dozens of bands having passed through its doors during the years it was in operation. During this period, Sleaze made plans to go in the recording studio. All right, that was a very short chapter. We're going to cut it there because my boy has a football game tonight. Going to be his first opportunity to score a touchdown. He's always played defense or snapped the ball as the center. He's been moved to tight end, so he's really hoping that he gets a nice pass play and he can score a touchdown. Of course, I want to be there to cheer him on. I never played football. I didn't even much like football, but I try to be very supportive of what my children are doing. If you've never subscribed, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I've been editing and recording a video on Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein that I think you all will find very interesting, which, by the way, if you look into Epstein's life in the 80s, dude had an address in Baghdad at one point. Oh my God, there are some strange things we need to talk about. I have put my Spotify link and Patreon link in the description. If you'd rather listen to videos like this and you can turn your phone off, put it away in your pocket while you're, cleaning, running, grocery shopping, whatever you're doing, you can follow me on Spotify. I am beginning a whole new series there about the Chelsea Hotel. We're going to start out with Sid and Nancy, but there are many, many mysteries from the Chelsea Hotel. That's why it's an entire series. Appreciate you guys. Leave me a like, leave me a comment. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on Instagram if you like, and give me a shout. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check.